I think we'll make a start. I'll just do a quick introduction. So thank you so much for coming to, it's actually the last installment of the Summer Short. So these have been hosted by the King's Clinical Academic Training Office. My name's Emily Robinson. I manage the Centre for Translational Medicine, and we're co-hosting this exciting event today in what is translational research. So there we go. Just for those who are new to the King's Clinical Academic Training Office, or KCATO, this is across King's Health Partners, so that includes our NHS Partner Trust and King's College London entity, which supports the training of all our clinical academics, no matter what health profession you are or no matter where you are on your academic training pipeline. So a really great resource for everyone to access. And the Centre for Translational Medicine is also a King's Health Partners entity where we're aiming to transform translational research and medicine across King's Health Partners, support increasing the number of trained researchers, and hopefully looking to get our translational infrastructure integrated across the partnership to make it easier to bring our innovations to life. And if out of interest, we have a number of CTM funding calls. Do look out for these. They'll be launching in September or so, and news will come out through KCATO about those. So these are really aimed at translational research. So if anything that Mike says today sounds relevant, do look out for these calls. We also have a PPIE, Patient Public Involvement Fund, to help you apply for larger grant applications when you need to involve PPIE from the start. So do check that out. Today, we're hoping that this Summer Shorts event is a safe space. So feel free to be curious. We'll be taking questions through the session. Mike's happy for interruptions. Be compassionate. Do consider your other people's experiences as well as your own. Be present. I mean, yeah, feel free to enjoy your lunch, but it's great if you can give us your full energy and just be you. So yeah. And if you want to learn more about KCATO events, you can search us bit.ly KCATO to sign up. So, and all this information will go out at the end of, or tomorrow at the end of the session. So just to introduce, we have Dr. Mike Lyne, who's Director of Translation at the Translational Research Office. This sits within the Central RMID Directorate here at King's College London, and within the King's Innovation Catalyst team. So I think I've got those all right. So Mike, we're going to hand over to you. Like I said, one more thing. Just, feel free to ask questions throughout. So either put them in the chat and Laura and I will look out for them, or if you're feeling really happy to, just pop up a hand using the raise hand function. We'll give Mike we'll let him know, and feel free to ask during the session. So yeah, where you go, Mike.
Brilliant. Thanks for the introduction, Emily, and thanks, KCATO, for the invitation to your Summer Short series. The event is being recorded, so if you have any objections to being part of that recording, then back out now, and you can always watch afterwards. And if you stay with me, then I'll feel that you are okay with that. This is a closed forum, but I guess if we ask any questions and things, then please make sure that you're not sharing anything confidential on the channel. Thanks. So I'm going to present now. I'm notorious. I'm a talker, and I have 30 slides. So I'm hoping that you won't let me. Is that sharing properly on everyone else's? Great. I'm in presenter mode. Great. So I'm hoping that you won't give me an opportunity to present them all. So let me know, dive in. So anything that you want to know, just ask in the chat or pop your hands up. But otherwise, I'm going to give you a little whistle-stop tour of the Translational Research Office, where we sit in the innovation ecosystem. I will give an aide-memoire of translation, as I would imagine most of you are familiar with what translation means. We'll cover a couple of examples, maybe something around translational research levels, and then a little bit on intellectual property. But it's kind of up to you. So let me just give you, I have to do a shameless plug to the project team now. So who are we? We are the Translational Research Office. We are a small bespoke team. We are all have research backgrounds. There are 4 translational research managers. We have different disciplines based on our background, but we do a lot of overlap and we share projects. So if you contact any one of us, you should get through to all of us. And we are recently joined by Tanya, who's looking after revamping, diversifying our training content, and has helped me put together these slides. So big thanks, Tanya. Any questions around training needs and things, then please contact Tanya, but otherwise contact me. So where do we sit? The Research Management Innovation Division. We sit in the center. We have the Research Strategy and Performance team, who are part of this conveyor on-ramp into translation. And we look at slightly later stage funding, and then we form this end-to-end service called King's Innovation Catalyst. King's Innovation Catalyst, I will share the slides afterwards, so you don't need to take any notes or this. Where there are 3 parts, and we're embedded in this diverse and exciting innovation ecosystem across King's Health Partners. With some of these, we have the Translational Research Office, we have IP and licensing, and we also have the Industry Research Partnerships Office. What do we do? I think for most researchers, probably the first and second ones are the important ones. So we do offer bespoke support, and most of this is around strategy, helping you to deliver your projects, helping you to design your projects, helping you to craft grant applications. And then when you're starting your projects, we help with ongoing relations with your funder. We have the Innovation Academy. It was the Translational Academy, and we've diversified now as we're looking to increase our offering right across King's to include the non-STEM faculties as well. And we do core translational workshops. At the end, I'll just provide a QR code, and you can go and check those out. You'll find links to our recordings, presentations, and things that we've done before. So check those out. And then the final element is horizon scanning. And so that's how we interact with other elements of the ecosystem to identify exciting projects that need support and progression through the development life cycle. TRO services. So translation is in our name, and we do speak a number of languages. Some of these we are fluent in, some of those moderately literate. So if any of those come into your project and you want advice, it's a little bit small probably to see on your screen, but I'll have a look at the slides afterwards, and if there's anything there that piques your interest, then do give us a call. There are learning objectives. I think we can scrap these because I don't think I have time to cover all of these, and I'm quite happy to just dip in and out. So, but these are the slides that broadly we're going to be covering. So we're going to be looking at difference between translation and discovery. What are the stages? How do you recognize the stages of translation? Target product profile, I might touch on that. It's a useful one for translators. Intellectual property, essential for any of those, with innovative ideas. And then not covered in my slide deck, but after my slide deck, there's a whole bunch of other resources that you can contact, that you can look at for more information around innovation within King's. Translational research. Okay, anyone hands up, who has a definition for translational research? It's just where I see how interactive we're going to be. This is absolutely fine. People are trying to have their lunch. Will you just be quiet, please, and just let us have our lunch? That's great. So let me just say, translational research is the process of turning scientific discoveries into practical applications. And then part of what we're interested in is improving human health. It's often referred to as bench to bedside or lab to clinic. And I think one of the big things is that it bridges this gap between basic science and then real world applications. So I will cover this. I'll leave you to explore that on your own. You don't need me to say that, but I guess one of the big things to point out is basic discovery research can be very publication focused. Around our translation, we do tend to put an emphasis on IP, intellectual property, and that's the creative element of that. And one of the key differences is that translation aims to create a product or a therapy. Some examples just for orientation. These are from within King's. So we have medtech diagnostic projects, we have molecular diagnostics, we have digital interventions, we have recombinant therapeutics, we have small molecule therapeutics, and we have advanced cell therapies. And you can probably find out more about these and the amazing work that goes on in these areas. One of the key messages that I think around translation is impact. We have an impact team, actually, and this is really about societal benefits. The work that we do, the research that we conduct, where does it go? What does it do? What good does it do? And this shows you at so many different levels that the innovation ecosystem, the adoption has benefits across society, and then the final part of impact. Sometimes a lot of this is just unseen. So we create a product and actually we just have no idea how far the ripples will stretch in our discovery work. How do we gauge? So the level of maturity of a project, we've adopted this technology readiness level. Within innovation, there are lots of other readiness levels, but I think this is the prime one that we use in translational funding. And this covers from TRL1, which is where you've identified a solution, right through to TRL9, where you've actually marketed, you have your product, it's on sale, and now you're conducting post-marketing surveillance. Why are these levels important? Well, they give you an element, an indication of risk. And what we can see is we have high risk at the beginning, and supposedly as we go through, then the risk should be lowered. And why is that important? That's because the level of validation that we need at each of these stages progressively increases. So by the time that we reach our late stage efficacy, we are talking about large trials, multi-million pounds. And so we need to de-risk projects. And that's what translation can be about. So our game is funding of translational research. We have just an aide-memoire there of the TRLs. And then what we've got here, my pointer probably doesn't work, but you can see two of these underscores. Universities typically the translation covers the first of these gaps, and that's the gap between the generation of an idea and translating that into a product. And you can see that the majority of the funding that we support is tiered towards that. We have later stage transition, which is the adoption of products into practice. And then there is a set of funding that goes there as well. I'm not going to mention much, but what I will say is just draw your attention to some of these, and we'll just use MRC as an exemplar here of this tiered funding system. So this risk versus cost. In innovation, the ethos is fail fast, fail cheap. And so we start at the beginning with small project funding, 1 year, 80,000, and then we move to gap fund. So that's 300,000, can be 18 months around, typically around 300K, and that's to address something that's stopping you from progressing into late stage funding. And then your later stage funding covers really what we call the valley of death. And that's where so many projects fail. And that's between 500,000 and 3 million, although we have had projects that go out to 5 years and 5 or 6 million. And then Why do we need to de-risk these projects? It's because the onward commercialization is usually very expensive. For an advanced therapy, it may be in the order of, and for therapeutics, it could be in the order of hundreds of millions to actually billions. And so de-risking your project for commercialization and late stage investment is hugely important at that stage. I don't want to spend much time on this. This is just really to illustrate. There are a few schemes. We have the impact accelerators coming up. They have deadlines for the 4th of September. If you identified with any of those earlier elements of that your projects are translational, then those are a great way to get started. And also Emily's just told us about the Centre for Translational Medicine schemes that are going to be kicking off probably around September as well, but I won't say much more about funding. Product design, this is really it's a whistle stop. You don't really need to know this, but I guess the take-home message of where translation differs from basic research may be incremental. You may start from the beginning and take small little bites. Translation and innovation, you tend to start with the end in mind. You have an idea, you rush right to the end and say, what will this look like when it gets to patients? So sorry, yeah. So I'm not seeing any hands. So if you put hands up, or I should see a pop-up if there are any questions. So it's start with the end in mind, and then you build a target product profile, which is really it's a living document. It's a set of questions that by the end of your project you should be able to answer, that can help shape your development path, and ultimately that will turn into your business plan. This is an example. I'll leave you to peruse this probably at your leisure, but typically what we tend to do is we tend to define our ideal product characteristics, and then we have those that are kind of like a minimal acceptable product. So we've got Roberto. I'm not sure if I can see chat and have my notes.
Yeah, I can read it out if you want, Mike.
Fab.
It's are any of the internal funding opportunities aimed for doctoral training? And Roberto, is that to do a PhD, or if you already are doing a PhD and you're looking for further funding to support your project? Currently at the moment, the CTM doesn't offer PhD funding. We have predoctoral and postdoctoral, so that's a space. But if you are looking at PhDs, there's a number of CDTs, which I'd really recommend looking at, that offer quite translational projects such as Drive Health and others. But Mike, I don't know if you have anything to say about doctoral training.
No, there's nothing particularly specifically aimed there, but I think the impact accelerators are happy to engage with early career researchers. So it's more really around your product idea. If you have project ideas, then come and talk to the TRO or the CTM. We'll all signpost to each other, and so we can work out what the most appropriate funding is for your project. We can have a kick of the tires and then try and work out where you fit in the TRLs, the translational research levels, and then we can, from the TRLs, we can work out what the most appropriate funding streams are for you. So a very quick shout out to intellectual property. It gets a bad press in research, but it is the value, it is the key, it's the value of your research. There is so much that people want to do with their research, and sometimes it's not possible to get the reach that they want because they haven't protected it. When we were talking about those earlier opportunities, we said that some of these cost billions to develop, and so if you're an industry partner and it really takes billions to develop these, you want to make sure that that idea is protected and that your investment is protected. So intellectual property gives you the best chance of reaching the widest audience. It's then up to you what you do. So if you have a patent, you don't have to enforce it, and we saw examples where at the end of the HIV, where the antiretrovirals came, a number of pharma companies came and donated their patents into a central pool for greater good, so that cocktails of antivirals could be made. So it's really up to you what you do. But I guess what we would say, what is intellectual property again? So typically we think of patents, but there are lots of different types of intellectual property, and we tend to layer these. We're getting a lot of digital therapeutics coming through, and it's not always possible to patent computer code. Algorithms you can, but they then benefit from copyright. We have the likes of Coca-Cola, where maybe 1 or 2 people in the entire world have the full recipe, but otherwise people only have small parts of that. And sometimes it's better for you to not divulge the secrets in a patent, because then they could be reverse engineered, and so sometimes trade secrets are better. For a lot of our product designs, there's design rights. For branding, there's trademarks, and then for some of the big clinical projects, or for other things where you've had to rely on a database of knowledge, then those can also be protected. So it could have been groundbreaking. So please, key messages are: you can always patent and then publish, but rarely can you publish then patent. IP does enable translation. Giving it that level of protection helps you reach the widest audience. Talk to us, talk to the Translational Research Office. We have links in. We are part of a wider team, King's Innovation Catalyst, that has the intellectual property and licensing teams in there. You can patent, pretty much you can patent, we can get an early opinion, and the patenting filing can be quite a quick process. So it shouldn't stop you from publishing for long. Just that amount of time to assess whether you've got any patentability and whether there's protection possible for that. And then once you have that priority date, then that should be a good first place. Summary. So in summary, translation and research creates a product or therapy. It's iterative, with steps going from low cost and high risk to high cost and low risk. The maturity of your project is represented by translational research levels. A target product profile can help you shape your development plan. And if you're thinking of publishing and you fit any of those criteria around translational research, then please do consider your intellectual property and talk to King's Innovation Catalyst. There's a bunch of slides after this that I'm not going to cover, but see that for additional resources around entrepreneurship if you're interested in some of the other commercial bits. And a shameless plug here just for the Innovation Academy again. So just make sure, scan that QR code, visit our pages and have a look at our content there, and there'll be more content coming up in the autumn, so after summer. I think I saw a question coming through. Was that?
Yeah. So we've got a couple questions, Mike. So that was great. Thank you so much. A real, whistle stop tour there. Do you provide, Helena's asked, do you provide consultation on patents, or does that come from our patent and IP and licensing team?
So we can certainly do initial assessments of patents and patentability. We're all versed. We've had lots of experience with patents, so we can do a first consultation. If it looks as though you have something that we should patent, then we would bring in our King's Innovation Catalyst IP and licensing colleagues fairly quickly on that, and they have a pro forma called the invention disclosure form that can capture all of the key information that we then give to our patent attorneys to get a view on patentability.
Right.
Do all translational projects create IP or patents? Typically, yes. But not necessarily patents, but there may be intellectual property. So for example, we have in the examples I gave, advanced cell therapies. especially of those with natural cell types, can be very difficult to patent as their natural maybe subtypes. So what we do there is we rely on layering of IP. We have barriers to entry around manufacturing, is that it's very expensive, it's very specialized. The expertise that goes into the immunology of these resides usually in research experts. We have maybe manufacturing technology that helps us with our cell expansion and things, and so that may lead to intellectual property. And so all of this in terms of know-how, the expertise, the barriers to entry, the manufacturing can form these layers of protection. And it may be that what you're producing could either be copyrighted or may have some of the other supplementary protection, a bit like, or you might just rely on the fact it's been trade secret that's kept Coke a secret for all these years. So how do we get in touch? So when we circulate the slide deck, in fact, all of the email addresses of the teams and their specialties are in there. If you contact any one of us, we'll make sure that you get through to the right person for that. Just wondering how to stop sharing my slides. Hopefully.
Yeah, I guess sometimes we can think about, I'm thinking about some different health research that happens. And I guess potentially a lot of sometimes looking at like patient reported outcomes and PROMs is definitely an area where the center does support research in. And how does that kind of tie into translational research, Mike? Like once you looking at like those patient reported outcomes and things like that.
So it's another form. So it's another form of intellectual property in that for anything that we do clinically that involves patients, then the data, it's hugely difficult for anyone else outside of our sector to generate those data. They normally when products come off patent, you can start to copy and clone those ideas and have bioequivalents to those. But actually within clinical data, we have this period, of around 6 years that the data itself is protected under law, and you have data exclusivity. So that is of huge value to your projects, and this is why so often our clinical projects may be spun out, but actually it's usually the founders and the expertise go with that, and then they need to form that relationship with the NHS afterwards to keep driving that value.
Right. And I think we're in a really unique place here, aren't we, across King's Health Partners, with our relationships with our various hospitals around Southeast London and further afield. So yeah. And we've just come up to 1 o'clock. So if there's I know that Mike and myself and the KCATO team are able to stay on for another 10 to 15 minutes if anyone has any questions I'd like to keep asking. But if there's no other general questions, yeah, you are free to go and enjoy the rest of your lunch hour, or yeah, do stay on to ask us any other questions. So thank you so much, Mike and Tanya, for joining us, and hopefully generated some interest. And remember, yeah, I think there's some winter warmers coming over winter as well, in this similar style of nice quick fire training opportunities. So lots of training opportunities from the TRO, from KCATO, and then do keep an eye out for the CTM funding opportunities coming soon.